Well, good morning, everyone. This is your average Jen coming at you from my bedroom. See if we can get some more stuff transferred over to YouTube today. How about that? Looks like we're going to be talking about music with Jay from Accountability Nation today. And I don't remember what this conversation was because it was a long time ago. So let me get to it and hopefully things will go. Sorry, I got like spit on my lip or something. Okay. Share screen. Sorry, I was talking about it. I can't really say much about this episode because I don't remember. So we're going to find out together.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Accountability Nation as presented by I'm Only Human, the podcast that attempts to explain how to coexist with other humans. Self accountability is something that will change our world. This podcast strain is Jay's project. We may stay focused on the original topic or we may drift way off course. Either way, it will be an adventure. Before we begin, we would like to state that we are not experts and we don't claim to be. We will, however, be talking about a lot of heated topics and some mellow things. It all leads back to taking accountability for your own actions, whether good or bad. Through recovery, healing is possible. We believe that change minds and attitudes can change our world. I'm so sorry, folks. I thought I was recording this episode, but I never had my microphone plugged in, so I'm not sure what was picking up the sound, but we both sound pretty far away. You can hear it, but it's not very great quality. So please bear with me. I'm sorry. I'm only a human.
Universal languages of motivation is music. Music can be used in many different ways. One of the ways I like to use music mostly is when I'm working out. I have playlists built for not only my workouts while I'm at the gym, also I have workout playlists built for when I'm just walking in nature. I have playlists built to help me relax. I have playlists built for when I have anxiety and when I'm stressed out. I also have playlists built to help me reduce anger, and each one of these playlists has value to me. So when it comes down to it, there's so many different uses for music, and many of which we still have yet to discover. Music can be used for healing. Different frequencies can be used, and there's been some early research on some of this stuff, and there's been some cultures that have used this for generations now. So music itself is a great motivator. It's a tool for health. It's an anxiety reduction, and so much more. Not to mention, it's a language that you can use to help bridge a gap between others. So today, one of the things I wanted to talk more about is my workout playlist and why that's so important.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Absolutely. I always lead in with the song Waking Lions by Pop Evil. And that song is my motivational song. It's the song that flips that mental switch in my head that says, hey, it's time to go do work. It's time to hit the gym. It's time to get your workout in. It's time to get some sweat going. It's time to let everything else sit at the side. And it's my moment to get myself focused on what it is I'm about to go do. I injured myself in the gym in January, being unsafe. And had I paid a little more attention that day, instead of going into the gym the way I did, I wouldn't have injured myself that day. Who knows, over the last 8 months, like what life would have been like had I not injured myself. So finding that correct motivational space in your head and having a tool to get yourself in that correct motivational space is very important.
So are you mentally, it's kind of like you're mentally conditioning yourself to remember, well, when I hear this song,
I should be doing this right now. So what happens when you're out of the gym and you hear this song?
It actually still flips that motivational switch in my head. And it's nice because sometimes, you're hanging out and you're trying to focus on something because I always seem to be doing something. I don't spend as much time relaxing as I would like to. ADHD brain, it never shuts up. So I hear that song when I'm working on a project or like if I'm out with the band doing something and it gets me in that mindset and it helps me focus. I mean, that song has really changed how I focus on things. Finding those little tools like that are the little ways to build better habits towards success.
So let's say you're going to the gym one day and you have a specific playlist, like you're working upper body that day and you're walking around the gym. You have a playlist for that, but then you go back the next day and it's a lower body day. Do you have a different playlist for that, or is it the same playlist? And then when you're lifting weights, do you have different music for that to get you pumped, like with the repetition of the beats?
I actually, how I account for that is I do have 3 different playlists when it comes to working out, and I'll rotate through them. There are some similar songs that bridge all 3 playlists, and then there's other songs that are completely unique to how I'm feeling that day. Like one of my earlier playlists had a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers on it. I'm a huge fan of the band. That band, the beats really get me moving. Also on that same playlist, I have some Paul Oakenfold, and I've got some Akira the Don, who does very cool motivational speeches mixed in with some cool techno beats. So it really does depend upon the day and how I'm feeling is the kind of music I'm going to listen to for that day. If I'm feeling upbeat, I'm going to listen to more techno. If I'm feeling angry, I'm going to listen to some more hardcore heavy metal. Like I'll throw some Sepultura on my playlist, some Pantera, some Typo Negative, Cradle of Filth, some just god awful hardcore double bass.
Double bass screaming at you, do it, or just primal scream, primal rage. Sometimes that's what you need for lifting those weights, is that primal rage feeling.
Yeah, it really does. It's almost in itself an endorphin kicker. You put your pre-workout in you, and then you turn on that right playlist, and it really does affect how your workout goes that day. I mean, if I was listening to Neil Diamond and Elton John, I don't think I'd get quite the lifts in the same as if I'm listening to some Pop Evil and some Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's for the 3-pound weightlifting day, is that kind of mellow music. Yes, I'm only going to lift 3 pounds today. We'll do it to Elton John. Can you feel the love tonight?
Exactly. Oh, that would really, just because I mentioned it, I might have to put a playlist together and try this out and see exactly how this works.
And then do like ballet steps from station to station. Just, that would be a way to get yourself attention. What in the world is this weirdo doing now?
Oh, trust me, every time I'm in the gym, everybody looks at me like, what is that guy doing? Because I have a very intense look on my face, my headphones on and my hood up. I have that look like I'm here to do work, don't bother me. I'm not looking at anyone else. I'm not seeing anything else. I am in there, in my zone, in my world, doing my thing. Because after all, you hit that mental switch flip, and that's what happens, is you go into your world, and everything else around you goes to the wayside. And it opens up a channel in my mind that I didn't know really existed, and I've really worked out a lot of things in the gym besides my physical health, my mental health as well. Like I figured out so many different things while working out because my mind is so focused on one task. It just, for some reason, seems to help in other areas.
I think that music bridges the gap. Yeah, like you said, it bridges a gap in a brain. It bridges a gap to a memory or a feeling. And some of that can withstand the test of time, and sometimes like that message changes. And I was talking to Dave about it too. Like, I don't know how or why, but somehow Def Leppard became the anthem music for me cleaning and getting motivated for stuff. Because I used to jam it like back in the late '90s, early 2000s when I needed to get serious and get cleaning done. It's like, all right, Jeff Leppard, here we go.
Absolutely. And like when I do projects outdoors, I actually use my workout playlist. Like this whole last week, I was doing landscaping, and the whole time I was cranking my workout playlist, and I was cranking some heavier metal to keep me going because that stuff will keep you amped up. I mean, I was working for long hours outdoors in the heat. It was a tiring week, yet I was able to get through it successfully with no injuries, and my body actually feels better today than it has all year since the injury. So I'm winning on a lot of levels this week.
That's nice. I bet that helps to keep you motivated too.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, the reality is this: over the last couple of weeks, I've noticed the change in my body. I'm not as scared about the injury as I have been. I'm also noticing that I can do things today that I haven't been able to do since I was in my 20s or even my teens, and that's largely to do with the amount of work that I put in, going from over 500 pounds down to under 400. I mean, I'm at 342 pounds right now from 538. So there is a significant difference, and it shows in the way my body moves, and it shows in my overall personality as well. I'm not trying to hide in public anymore like I used to.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. Like I've never been like your size, but I've felt like ashamed of the way I felt before and stuff, and I'm learning to not feel so ashamed of it anymore. It's like people have bodies, get over it.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, when it comes down to it, people still discriminate against larger people, and I get it for what it is. But the reality is this: we all go through our own things. We all have our own things. We all know what's best for us. And if you think being a larger person is best for you, then that's what you got to do in life. For me, it's not what's best for me. So I'm doing things to change that. And part of that is using the music that I enjoy to move me forward rather than let me sit stagnant. Because quite honestly, it'd be real easy to just sit on the couch and eat food and watch TV all day and do nothing. That lifestyle, it is easy to live, yet it sucks. Sucks just sitting there doing nothing and just watching TV and just eating junk. And it's like you get to a point where you're just like waiting to die, and you're not gaining any life experience. Your whole world shrinks down to your living room or wherever it is you're happening to be when you're watching TV. So it's like I don't want to live that life. I'd rather throw my headphones on and go nature walk at the dam that I walk at a lot, or I have this app called Alt Trails, and I use it, and I find trails in my area. Some are easy to navigate, some are more difficult. Like Rachel and I went to a trail in Burnsville, Minnesota, where it said it was a moderate trail, and there was massive hills, and it was over 5 miles, and we were going up and down, and it was a really good workout that day. So it's a nice surprise to find those things, and you don't find those things when you're just sitting on the couch.
That's true, and I think that I know that since it's becoming fall now, it's a lot easier to be outside and to do these things. The temperature's nice. A lot of people forget that going outside and doing things outside is a great workout. Like you don't have to only go to the gym to work out. Like if you go to the gym and you work out and then you go home and you sit on your couch, what's the point? You know, just stay active and do something. There's downtime is good for everyone, but being outdoors, that's so refreshing.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, you know, when it comes to summertime and it is warmer out, it's just, you got to want it. And that's the reality is when it comes down to anything, you just have to want it bad enough to do what it is you do to get to your goals. And for me, part of that is being outdoors. I love to be outdoors. I've always loved to be outdoors. I mean, when we were kids, we were never home. We were always at the park playing baseball or playing kickball or whatever else we were doing. You know, nighttime we were playing ding dong ditch and all those silly, rascally things that kids do. I mean, growing up in the 80s was great. You know, you jumped on your bike, you rode to your friend's place, see if they're home. If they weren't, you just rode around the neighborhood till you found the spot where all the bikes were. And then you stopped and you saw all your friends, you hung out for a little while, and then, make sure you're home by 5 for dinner. And you better be home before those streetlights come on, or otherwise you're getting in big trouble. I
Right.
mean, those days were great, and I want to continue some of those things into adulthood. I don't want to get locked into always sitting indoors or spending all my time doing things that I don't want to do because it doesn't seem productive.
Around 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m., you'd hear moms yelling out their door, "Dinner time." I know that we could hear mom for miles away. She just had one of those voices. But that was our cell phone back then, is mom yelling out the door, "It's dinner time."
Exactly. And you hear everyone else's moms doing the same thing. You're like, yeah, it's your turn to go home. It's like, I guess since I heard your mom, I should probably start heading towards home because mom will be calling any moment now. And so it's like, yeah, those days were great. And unfortunately, not a lot of people experience what we got to experience as kids. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, they only know what they know, and we'll never understand the childhood they're having now with all this technology and stuff. I don't want to get too far off your music topic, because I know that's what you wanted to talk about, so we can reel it back in towards music.
Yeah, that's a good plan because I do get on tangents all the time. It's just how my brain works.
So do I, and then I end up circling back to the original point, but like a lot of the content was lost in between.
Oh yeah, and part of the reason why we went down that tangent is because we were talking about the music from when we were kids. Like you were talking about Def Leppard. That's actually a band I still listen to, and I have songs from back then in the 80s and 70s on my playlists that I absolutely still love. Pink Floyd's one of my favorite bands of all time, and they're part of my chill out playlists a lot of times when I'm just sitting in the garage listening to music and hanging out. Because even when I'm at home, I'm still not always indoors. Hanging out in the garage, I'll have the door open and letting the air come in and that sort of stuff. And it's nice. And I think it's something that a lot of people miss out on. And it seems like a lot of people just listen to what's popular on the radio and they forget about the songs that they loved from the past. And it's like about 6 months ago, a song that I absolutely love. It's called "Letters from the Sky" by Civil Twilight. It popped up randomly on my Amazon, and it's like I remembered how much I loved that song, and it brought me back to the memories of that time. And that's the thing, because a lot of memories are connected to the music I listen to. There's actually some artists that I won't listen to for a while, just simply because of what was happening while I was listening to that music. David Gray being one of them. Absolutely love David Gray. A lot of that music's tied to the time when I was married, and I don't really want to go down that path right now, so a lot of that will just stay to the wayside, and that's okay. And then there's other times where I'm like, I'm feeling a little nostalgic. I'll pull that out and play that. And then I remember some of the things from that time.
You can always change your memories of what's going on at the time as you're healing, though, too, and eventually those songs will take on a different meaning.
That does happen a lot, actually. I've been able to play some of those songs in new situations and start to build some new memories with them and start to erase some of those old bad memories, which is a good thing considering what happened in my life at that time. It's like those are some of those things you just don't want to relive. And I recognize that for what it is. Then again, there's also those motivational anthem songs like "Fear" by Blue October, which is my get back up song. And when things are going bad in life and I'm struggling, I'll pop that song on and play that song, and it'll remind me of a lot of what I went through and how I overcame it. and having those songs to lean back on and help me refocus mentally is very valuable.
I think that's probably, remember the song Tub Thumping? That was really big for a while.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping. Yeah, that was one of those songs. Yeah, I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Oh yeah, that's one of those classics that's part of my Get Back Up playlist. There's a lot of songs. I mean, you can just look at and you can find a song to fit pretty much any mood you're in or any situation you're in. There's a song out there that's going to be relatable to it. The problem is a lot of people don't go sleuthing music the same way that maybe you or I do. There's hundreds of bands that I listen to. It may just be a song or a couple of songs, or there's those few that I listen to everything they produce. Obviously, like Strange Days. Not only do I roadie for them, but I absolutely love the band, and I listen to all their work.
I've never listened to anything from Strange Days. I'm a lazy music listener. Like, I'm kind of like what you described, just, well, whatever's on the radio, because I'm too lazy to dig deeper and download these albums, because I don't know where to find them after I download them, if I even could download them.
Streaming on Amazon Music has been a game changer for me, the listener. I will say for the artist, it has really changed how they earn. Because, I mean, they're making pennies for hundreds of listens. So if you're not getting hundreds of thousands of listens, you're just not making any money on your music. And touring is really where they make money nowadays, is in your merchandise sales. And, you know, finding ways to get your music to people to hear can be difficult if people don't know who you are. And then, of course, if you don't fit what the stereotypical pop world would consider good, then it gets even more difficult. Long gone are the days like Bon Jovi taking his song Runaway to the radio station and demanding the DJ to play it, and him becoming a big hit success because of that song Runaway. Those days are gone. I mean, yeah, we do have that version with YouTube and TikTok where, like, the girl that sang about the Victoria's Secret stuff, she was a big hit and she did pretty well with that song, and that's awesome to hear, but it's very few and far between nowadays. Clear Channel really controls the music industry as well as the record labels, and they've got that stuff clamped down. I mean, there are a few independents out there that you'll hear, like Tom McDonald, who he's been able to do it all himself, and that's great. There's not a lot of those people.
So since you hang out with roadies and you tour with bands and you meet all these people, you have kind of like the inside scoop on the music industry. So how has the internet changed how they earn money? I know you just mentioned with the streaming things, because they used to earn money on CD sales and record sales.
Right. And what it comes down to is that people will digitally buy their albums. They make money on that. Most people don't these days because, you know, like, I pay $15 a month and I can stream whatever I want unlimited amounts of time. So I can literally have my app running 24/7, 365, and never hear the same thing twice if I didn't want to. So that's what really hurts artists from that aspect. Is, I mean, it's like, I think it's like every 100 listens you make like a penny or two, and instead of, you know, a CD being $10, $15, those days are gone. And to get your exposure, I mean, sometimes the band's playing clubs for gas money to get to and from, and that's just to get exposure on the band. And they've been together for a long time, and they still hold on to some of those old school ways. We sell CDs at the concerts. I've actually recently seen some artists selling cassette tapes again, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Does anybody even have a cassette tape recorder to play those anymore?
Are they coming out with something new, like a new kind of thing that looks like a cassette, but it maybe
No,
like...
it's actually a physical cassette with the tape and everything. And I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I wonder if people are figuring out they're tired of being tracked by the government. So if we go back to these old school things where you physically have a copy of something, the government doesn't know what you're doing. They don't know what you're listening to. They don't know if you're becoming an anarchist or anything by the music you listen to.
That's 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 a good way to look at it, actually, because a lot of the bands that put out vinyl and these bands that I've seen putting out cassette tapes are a little bit more fringe when it comes to some of those ideologies. So it would make sense, or it's at least plausible to think that that could be the case.
Oh shit! I swore on my own show. Sorry if I ruined it for anyone who's trying to spread a message that way, and I just blew your cover. That's just the way I think.
It happens. It's all good. Sis.
Not like any government officials are ever going to listen to this podcast, but who knows? By the time they listen, this will be years past.
Yeah, that's a fact. And it's like, you know what, it is what it is. We live in a country that we have First Amendment rights, and I'm going to use them how I see fit.
Are you sure we have rights? Are you really sure? I think they want us to think that we have rights, but we really don't.
There's something to be said for that.
They give us just enough of a leash, and then they yank it back when we cross that line.
Yeah, that's
what political correctness is all about. It's about yanking that leash, tightening that control just a little bit at a time.
Yeah, and control that narrative, change things a little bit at a time. Webster's dictionary online has changed the meaning of words in real time. It's crazy to think in this culture that we live in, side versus side. It's just like it's almost parallel cultures, and they don't mix. And it's sad to watch that people that for no other reason hate each other because the letter they represent is different. It's sad to watch. And you see the difference in the music too. Like a lot of what they listen to on either side, you can see why some people would believe what they believe. Music can be a powerful piece of propaganda as well. That's the unfortunate reality. Like a band like Rage Against the Machine, they're full-on communists. They don't deny it, and listen to them for decades and decades. Like the music, not particularly a fan of the message.
Now that's their message, but everyone takes away what they want. Just because that's the band's message doesn't mean, oh, I'm a communist because I like this. It's like, no, I just like the song.
Right, and that's the thing. Like getting to talk to different musicians about the music that they've created that I really enjoy, and understanding what it is they were trying to portray with the song versus what it is I take away from that song, and then being able to explain to them what I take away from the song, and them getting a new perspective has been pretty cool to get to do that. So,
who have you all gotten to talk to, I should say, and given them a different perspective on their song that they might not have thought about?
Classic example is Lee Caddy, the lead singer of Pop Evil. I got to talk to him about Waking Lions. He talked about how the song came together and how it took a long time. I mean, that song was written over years, and it started out with his son saying, "Dad, what about Waking Lions?" And he's like, "That sounds like a cool title." And then he put together the refrains on it, and he would play that for people, and they're like, "Those are amazing. Can I hear the rest of the song?" He's like, "No, it's not done yet." And it took him years to finally craft what became Waking Lions. And then I explained to him about what that song means to me. And for him to get that perspective, he's like, "I really appreciate that because I don't always think about what it is the fan understands when they're hearing the music that I'm playing because of what I created and what it means to me."
That's awesome that you get to hang out with these people, and they're just regular people like us, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, they absolutely are. They're just a lot more popular than we are because of what they do, and they take that on. They understand that that's part of what it is they do, and for some of them, they embrace it, and there's others that can be real jerks about it, and that's okay. We teach their own. be who you're going to be and make no excuse for it. And that's just how life rolls.
In closing, we would like to say that the opinions expressed here were strictly of our own making or by some guests. Take what you like and leave the rest. You may come to realize that you may not like us or what we want to share, but let's talk to each other, reason things out, but let there be no gossip or criticism of one another. Instead, let the fellowship of ethical human behavior and the serenity from positive human interaction help you grow and chill out one experience at a time. We would like to thank our higher powers for guiding us through this podcast. We hope to spread the message of love, hope, and understanding by touching one life at a time. If you like this podcast, please like and share it. Comments also help other struggling people find it. We are now listener supported, and if you would like to contribute, please feel free. There is no obligation. If you would like to share feedback, you can email Jen at averagehumanbeing1875@gmail.com or visit Jay on Twitter at earbudsmusic. There is also a link you can click if you would like to send a voice message and add to the content of the show.
All right, well, there you have it. Let's go back to the studio. And once again, I never know what to expect because it's been a long time since I've listened to a lot of these episodes, and I'm usually pretty surprised after I listen to it. It's like, yeah, that was a pretty decent episode. So I know the titles are boring, but keep on listening and feel free to subscribe to the channel, share it, talk about it with other people. All right, we'll see you again for another episode. Bye-bye.